Current ice fishing report for the Twin Cities ice report, ice fishing report, what's going on. I'll tell you what, it's been an abnormal year, no doubt about it. We've seen all kinds of weird weather patterns, that's to put it nicely. Mother Nature finally decided to show up this last week and this week coming. We're gonna have a lot of cold weather. It's about time. We're making some good ice. There are some ice fishing opportunities out there in the Twin Cities, so I'm not trying to discourage you. The biggest thing I'm going to tell everyone watching this video is to properly practice safety due diligence. Bring the spud bar, wear your flotation suit, have your throw rope, have your ice picks, go with a team, go with buddies. Don't take any risks. Ice fishing is not an unsafe sport as long as you use a little bit of common sense and practice proper safety measures. So we've been going on the ice lately, spud bar in hand. I'm checking a lot of my spots, a lot of my maneuvers when I'm walking this way or walking that. We're heading out to a base and I'm constantly checking the ice. Even if I find a spot that has 4 or 5 inches of ice and I feel safe to walk on it and adequately fish, I'm still checking the ice as I make moves across the basin or to a different weed flat or around a point or turn. Constantly check the ice this time of year. Those are important things you always want to remember. So all ice safety aside, I think we understand that world we live in. Practice what we preach, check the ice. Now onto the fishing side of things, and what am I finding for ice conditions? In the Twin Cities, and I'm talking 60 miles in any direction. I haven't gone as far south. I've gone towards Lake Minnetonka in that region, and I'm finding some safe ice that I can get out on and walk. So I'm finding ice anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. Not a lot of lakes are finding 6 or 7 inches yet, depending on when you watch this video. I'm filming this video. Today is Monday, January 15th on when I'm filming this video. So you might not watch this till the 17th, 18th, 19th. I'm not entirely sure. But on the 15th, unless I should say over the weekend, the 13th, 14th, I'm finding anywhere from 3 to 5 inches on some of these lakes. Now I'm still finding spots on some of these lakes, expansive parts of certain lakes, where you cannot be on that ice yet. There's just not enough ice to support a person. One whack with the spud bar type stuff. Some spots, believe it or not, have a little bit of open water still, which is awkward as we're talking mid-January, but hey, that's the cards we were dealt. So after you check your ice, we are finding some ice in some of these spots that have walkable areas to fish. Now, one thing I always tell anybody is you always want to check with your local bait shop, tackle store, your local expert, whatever that might be. Hop on Facebook, ask some questions, but just because somebody tells you there's 5 inches of ice doesn't mean you still shouldn't check it. Now, what do we do when we find these fish? Now in the metro, these fish, I don't know if they still think it's early ice, midwinter. This is something that's being new to all of us. This is a curveball being thrown to every one of us. None of us have the book on what we've seen this year on ice conditions and fishing patterns, because we've never seen it. In 23 years of guiding, I've never seen these conditions. I had somebody ask me yesterday, Matt, do you think that these fish still think it's early ice now that the ice melted and it's coming back? My gut reaction is no. I think we're seeing these temperatures, these water temperatures dictate this fish behavior. And the water temperatures have been cold. As far as the fish are concerned, it's been cold this entire time. So these fish are starting to acclimate to that cold water temperature. They're starting to reposition for midwinter, even though that sheet of ice just refroze. So what I'm finding is a lot of these fish are starting to move to their late early ice midwinter spots, which can make it somewhat difficult if ice conditions are poor because you can't get out to those spots. But I think as we progress through this week, we're going to see a lot of smiling faces, a lot of people getting on the ice and getting to these spots they want to get to. But I think these fish are starting to acclimate towards more midwinter patterns. So how are we catching our fish? Man, I'll tell you what, the Pinhead Pro has been a dominant presentation once again for me on the ice. I can be effective, I can be efficient, I can chase down fish in shallow water, deep water. I'm fishing the 132nd ounce Pinhead. It's the smallest version. I'm fishing that more than probably anything else. And I'm using a straight drop noodle rod. I like that noodle bend. It allows me to see the bite. It allows me to figure out the up bite, the down bite. It gives me the solid backbone to set the hook and play with some of these fish. So the noodle rod, whether it's the straight drop, the katana, the scepter, all of those get a nod. The Pinhead Pro is a very, very efficient way of catching fish. I can chase them, I can slow down. You can certainly tip it with bait. I'm a no bait kind of guy. I'm fishing that plain. I feel like I can entice those fish with my jigging cadence and get those fish to go. And this is crappies, this is bluegills. I'm also fishing a lot of smaller tungsten jigs too. I am using drop kicks quite regularly right now as well. I'm using a size 12 like you see here. I might use a size 10. I'm tipping this with a silky, with a plastic, with a Mackie minnow, with some kind of an insect bait like a Mackie Jamie, maybe a small poly. You might also nip hook this with a maggot. So the tungsten realm is certainly in play right now. I'm using a 2 or 3 pound test frost monofilament. Anyone knows me knows I'm using an inline reel, and I'm actually using this Scepter spring bobber tip. So that's been working really, really well. You got to have that 1-2 punch jigging spoon. You're also going to be fishing that drop kick jig. I'm also fishing the new Tika Flash. I have my longer rods in the truck. I got my Scheels ice rod case here with all my shorter rods, but my 34s, my 35s, my newer noodle rods, I love those longer rods. I've been fishing a lot of Tika Flash, 1/32, 1/16. I have not fished the 3/32 a ton because I'm still targeting, for the most part, under 20 foot of water, bluegills, crappies. So I'm using that Tika Flash as well to catch my fish. That's kind of my 1-2-3 approach. Jigging spoon, Pinhead Pro, tungsten, drop kick, swirl drop. I'm using the swirl drop a ton as well, plain drop, tipping it with plastic, silkies, maggots to get these fish to go. I'm also looking at a lot of fish in the weeds. If I can find fish in the weeds right now, I'm doing myself justice. We don't have a lot of snow on the ice. In fact, there's virtually none. So these fish are more finicky. They're more weary of what's going on above them. If I can find fish in cover, which right now where I'm at has to be weeds, I'm finding myself catching more fish consistently and not having to chase these hyper spooked, hyper focused fish. These deeper fish, these basin fish, they are extremely skittish right now. Thin ice, no snow, light penetration. They can hear and feel everything I'm doing. So if I can find some fish in that, oh boy, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 foot range with good green weeds, I feel like I can stay on top of these fish better, be more effective, and catch a bunch more fish. So I anticipate this next several days, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, gaining a bunch of ice here in the Twin Cities. I expect by this weekend, like I said, a lot of smiling faces, a lot of people getting out chasing fish on the ice this coming weekend. A little delayed, not a big deal. It's going to happen. That's going to be my approach. I'm going to get back on the ice hard later this week and this weekend, continue to check some lakes. I think you'll see others doing the exact same thing. So the big thing right now, safety, practice what you preach, go out there with all the necessary tools, make sure the ice is safe, and be willing to adapt. Those are the 2 big key takeaways right now, is get out there, do your due diligence on the ice, and then be willing to adapt to catch some of these fish. And it is cold, so don't be afraid to hunker down in the fish trap and focus on catching every mark you see on your Vexilar. Sometimes that's just the nature of the beast. The whole hopping game needs to subside. You need to sit on top of these pieces of structure, these weed beds, these weed flats, whatever it might be, and take every opportunity to your advantage and try to catch the most amount of fish. So get out there, have some fun, bundle up. The ice fishing season's here. We are finding ice. There's a lot better ice as you go further north into Minnesota. I was in Brainerd last week. I was in Alexandria. A lot better ice up that way. So if you want to take a little bit of a drive and go an hour or 2 north, it's amazing how much more ice you do find. So if you are in the southern part of the cities and you're getting discouraged because your ice is just starting to form, hop in the truck, take a 2-hour drive north, and you'll be happy on what you find. But get out there, have some fun, be safe, set some hooks for me, and have a great time on the ice this season.